Hey, what's up everybody? So here's part 2 of the video, and I put some gloves on here to keep the shininess going of the knife, just because I don't want to get any marks on for the video. I realized that in flipping it, the finger of this glove gets caught, so I peeled this part back just so it'll be easy for me to flip for you guys. But here, actually I wanted to just say one thing that I'm pretty proud of too. This is the first knife that I've ever taken apart fully and been able to actually now to put back together. Just a note about Esteban and TiSurvival. He does the anodizing services, the polishing, the blasted finish. I think he does stone washing too, but he's not, I don't know, I guess it's up to him, but he's not technically like a knife pimper. He wants you to send the scales, send whatever titanium parts of the knife to him, but he doesn't want you to actually send the knife. And in taking apart this knife and putting it back together, I can understand why. It is a hassle. I mean, it does take time. You got to get the Torx bits out. You got to hope that the screws are decent enough that they'll catch and not, tear out or break off. You have to keep track of all the parts, and it definitely is time consuming. And in the business that he's in, and in how fast he got this turned around to me, I can see that it would definitely push back his work. You know, it would definitely take a lot longer. I sent these scales out to him on this past Friday. He got them on Monday, got them anodized, worked, and sent them back out to me, I believe, that same day, and I just got them back today. Obviously, we had New Year's in between. But that is impressive. I mean, that's super fast turnaround. That's probably the faster turnaround than you would ever see from any knife pimper. But once again, you're not supposed to send him the knife, just the stuff to be anodized, and that's why his services get expedited so fast. But you can see here, you saw the scales before, but this is just an awesome, awesome job. I mean, look at that. That's gorgeous. That's Boker titanium scales that he high polished and then did his random anodizing pattern on. I think some people refer to it as the worm or the snake pattern. Definitely unique to him, I would say. I haven't seen it done anywhere else. But you can see with the light hitting it, it's this light blue in the worm pattern, and then the golds, the bronzes, the purples in there, and then this back spacer. I mean, look at that thing. And then even just looking down the side of the knife, we'll see if we can get it here, just how the sides of the scales just look awesome. The thing just stands out. And I do have to give myself a little compliment. I did take this thing apart and put it back together pretty well, I think. See the flipping action? Look at that. IKBS is horrible to work with. Please. It runs very smooth. I am very impressed with the smoothness of IKBS, but man, having a million bearings in there. Luckily, they all pretty much stayed in the blade, the part that's ground out for them. So it wasn't too bad, and because of the amount of grease that Boker puts in there, it kind of helped stabilize them too. But dang, like if you lose a few of those, I guess you have to order them from somewhere. I don't even know where you get them, like a hardware shop or something, and then you hopefully get the right size. I don't know, it's a hassle. It's so much easier to have the cage bearings, but some people say the IKBS is smoother than the cage bearings. This is a pretty smooth knife, but some of the Brouses, especially the Brous T4 that I have, that has the cage bearings that he uses, is probably the smoothest knife. Or, I don't like to use the word smooth, but slickest. Just rolls, no friction whatsoever on that thing. So there's the debate about cage bearings and then free-flowing bearings. But I think actually, since taking this apart and putting it back together, it's even, look at that, it's even a little bit smoother than it was before. I mean, it flies open, but then you break the lock bar here. That's pretty slick. So I might suggest that you guys maybe loosen the, not that you'd have to take the whole thing apart, but maybe loosen the pivot and then retighten it, and it may even just help out that way. But lockup is pretty much right where it was before. You can check my last, not my last video because that's part 1 of this, but my video that I did before this of just the Boker before I had it pimped out, anodized up by Esteban at TiSurvival. You can compare the smoothness on it, but centering stayed pretty much right where it's in. Oh man, you can see even on the inside there of the back spacer, it's all anodized. So just super slick stuff. I don't want to get too long with this video, but there's just so many good angles so you can get looking at this thing. I mean, this thing is flashy, really nice. And you know, the pocket clip's steel, so you can't really do much with it. But the bright, you know, it's I don't know if it's a satin finish on there, but there is some shine to it, and so I think it does go really well. I guess it is stonewash, but it's not super stonewash. You know, it's not rough looking. It does have some reflection to it, so it definitely matches up with this scale. But you can see the whole thing through here. You've obviously seen the blade and seen the knife. There's several videos out there, but I don't think anyone's had this done yet to their Boker, so thought I'd give you guys a nice look at that. Once again, this is Esteban's card. I definitely highly recommend you reach out to him if you have any knives that have any titanium on them. And he can do different things. This is obviously the kind of glamour package here, the high polish with the anodizing and the bright, you know, finishes and colors. But he can do a sandblast. I think he can do the stonewash, and he can definitely anodize it all one color or do rings. I think is another pattern that he does. I believe he can actually do designs. So anything you pretty much want done in your titanium you can do, and not just knives. You can send them your flashlights, your pens, anything that you have that's titanium. I'm sure you could do the services too, but definitely on the knives it just looks awesome. So also I want to give a shout out to Mike Terra Fanatic, who I discovered Estabon through. I think he had some videos of, I believe he had his Salmonero done by him, and then his Boker Minos, and you know, that's where I ever first saw Esteban's work. And so definitely thank you, Mike, for bringing him to the forefront through your videos at least. And he did an awesome job on this knife, and I did a pretty good job putting the knife back together, I do say. But that back spacer, I mean, that just looks sick. Once again, I mean, since taking it apart and putting it back together, you can just see this blade. I mean, it's almost a good thing I have this glove on. It's protecting my finger a little bit there. Otherwise, you really gotta be careful. Looking down the back here, I mean, you can see that S squiggly just going right through there. Really gorgeous stuff. Highly recommend it. Also a shout out to, I'm not going to say your name right, but TiSurvival Boker. I hope that's right, my friend. I believe my French friend, who highly pushed me not to get these done because he liked the look of the Boker just the way it was. My friend, it does look good how it was originally. You know, it's a very, and I'd say it's a very, I don't know what the right word for it, but in style look right now, to just have that kind of matte titanium, matte, you know, the stonewash on the blade, and then everything matching. Yes, that was nice. You know, the backspacer and everything else matched the original way it came. But I don't know if you can give me an argument that this doesn't look pretty cool. You know, especially with the backspacer done, how it all is. Matching up, even this pivot's kind of shiny too, so that kind of all goes with the look. And then the knife just being so smooth and slick as it is. I've actually, it actually is even easier to flip right now since I've taken it apart, so I don't know if maybe a little of the detent went away when I took it apart or not, or just from, you know, the pivot out and pivot back in, but I'm not slipping off here as much. It's actually breaking pretty easily now when I push on it, so who knows, but pretty impressive stuff. I'm going to try and cut this off right around 10 minutes. But everything lined back up, the screws didn't strip. You can see the scale lines itself up pretty well. But yeah, taking a knife apart, guys, and putting it back together is not the easiest thing to do in the world, and especially when there's IKBS involved. But yeah, Lucas Burnley, great design. Boker, great execution, I feel, in this knife. And really the only thing is, you know, some people just wish they put a different steel in here, and Maybe Boker eventually will, but you know, for a $125 knife, I'll say it. I know people would like a little bit less, but with everything you're getting, and then another thing too is Estabon is very reasonable as far as his services go. I mean, very inexpensive, much less so than if you send a knife out to get pimped, especially a Kwaiken. I know the two guys that are doing it now, they do an excellent job. I have one on order with Alex Dietz doing it, which is going to be amazing, and I know Bauer Blades Work does them too. And I've had knives pimped by Tough Thumbs, and I'm looking into some other pimpers. But just in general, to have a knife pimped, and I understand why, it costs a lot more than what Estabon is charging just to the scales. Obviously, the guys that are pimping these things have to, you know, take the knife apart. You have to send them the whole knife. They have to take the knife apart. They have to keep track of all the parts. A lot of times they're cutting out titanium bolsters. They're cutting out scales. It is a lot more labor intensive depending on what you're having them do than a guy that's just anodizing the scales. Not to say that his work is any easier to do, because this is just an amazing creation he's done with this design work and everything. But there is a major difference in cost between sending it out to a full knife pimper and just if you want to have some pieces of titanium on the knife done by Estabon, and also the turnaround time. I think with the knife pimpers in general, it's a much longer turnaround time to get your knife back, where with Estabon, it was less than a week. It was less than 5 days pretty much. If you take out the weekend days and the holiday in between, it was probably about a 3-4 day turnaround. But hope you guys like this. Definitely give Estabon a shout out. And when I do get the Kwaiken that I had pimped by Alex Dietz back, I will definitely put a video up of that, have these both next to each other. But definitely a great knife. Love the sleekness of it. Love how it feels in the pocket. Just enough right here at the top to grab. You have the lanyard hole too if you ever need it. But this thing is just gorgeous. So definitely check them out. I'll put some links in the description below to some of the stuff I mentioned. Love that flipping action. Love how smooth it is. So yeah, that's nice. Alright guys, I will catch you later. I'll throw some pics of this up on my Instagram account too. Later.